Yes, happy Friday. Happy Producers Club to everybody. I have the one and only Richard Chung, the Veritas Group.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.
How you doing, Richard?
I'm good, and I usually don't get to be on these Friday morning calls up to now. I've been doing this Friday morning role play with actually other coaches. We're actually role playing coaching scenarios, and I've always found it pretty good, pretty valuable. But thank you for inviting me. I was like, oh, I can't pass this opportunity up. This is good. I always enjoy doing these.
Tell us more about those coaching calls that you're doing.
I came to KW 4 years ago, essentially recruited as a productivity coach in that market center. So part of that was, I mean, role playing coaching scenarios. I mean, hey, an agent and you are role playing, and the agent is saying, "Hey, I need help from getting to 5 deals a year to 20 units. That's my goal this year. How do I get there?" And coaching agents through that. And I mean, you guys, a lot of you guys know me as the probably the role play guy. I mean, such a believer and obsessed with role play. So I love doing those calls because I hate practicing in front of where the actual prospect or the agent where it actually really can cost you money. When you're practicing in front of a seller, that's the last place you want to practice. So I've always found those pretty valuable.
Yeah, that's funny. And you know the thing is that it might happen oftentimes if you just run into objection that you never had before. So, but absolutely right. I mean, you definitely different than most because you consistently practice really hard, right? You really believe in the trend hard, right?
Yep. Yeah, and I think, I always look back at during college, I was working at a restaurant, and the restaurant would open at 11 a.m. for lunch. We get there at 10 a.m. and then you go in there, and then the chefs are there from 9 a.m. prepping. It's like before game time. It's just like you look at any sport. The athletes are there in the morning for a 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. game prepping. So I've always felt that that comparison was pretty valid. Of before game time, you got to really prep.
Yeah, 100%, right? It's a full
Yeah,
cycle. Who is Richard Chung?
that's a great question. I guess you how to answer that question by the people that are closest to you. And my wife, I say this in a totally in a joking way. I'm convinced, I tell people I'm convinced that my wife loves me so much. She loves me more than anything, and she will always love me. But there are many times she doesn't like me. She'll still love me during those times. She just doesn't like me during those times, you know. But with all kidding aside, I mean, I think I've been very blessed in my life, very blessed. And I'll tell you this: I think the two things that I've been very blessed with is are people and opportunities. I mean, those are really the two things that I feel like I've been blessed with. I think I don't think a lot of people know my upbringing and all that, but I guess you can even call it, I mean, a rough upbringing in a lot of ways. It didn't have much, growing up as far as money's concerned, family's concerned. In a lot of ways, I kind of raised myself, in a lot of ways. And so I think with the situation that, we're all given a different hand of cards. We're all dealt different cards. You got to do the best that you can with it. I've done a lot of bluffing with those cards, perhaps, to get my way through. But I look back, it's impossible for me to get to any type of close to where I am today without the help of people. I really believe that.
And I'm going to ask you more about that, but tell me first about your upbringing. What you say? You said it was a rough journey. Just tell us more about that.
Oh yeah. No, we're getting really into it. Yeah, I mean, grew up in Los Angeles, the heart of Los Angeles, raised by a single mom. immigrant who flew here where she was, the story is she was 8 months pregnant with me and came over here. And, my father was a, Marine, Vietnam vet, all that sort of stuff. But everything that but he was never part of my life. And here's what's crazy is, I've had, I'm an only child, so I had cousins that were much older than I am. They were kind of helping raise me. Some, uh, they were like older brothers, in a way. I mean, really older brother. I mean, you know what I mean, like older brothers,
Yeah.
to me. Uh, and they would, for some reason, they would even paint my father as like this hero, this war hero. He was just like this great guy. He would do 100 push-ups with just one arm and all this, stuff, and would always have that vision in my mind. And then I find out later on in my probably my late teens or early adult years that he was just an alcoholic, abuser. That's the reason why, I basically didn't, have, was raised by a single parent, but also, I mean, he passed away when I was 12. So he was, I mean, I've had one conversation with my dad my entire life, just one, and that conversation lasted probably about half an hour. But by then, he had a lot of medical issues, had no idea who I was at the time. People had to keep telling him, "Oh, this is your son. He's 6 years old. This is your son. This is your." Probably had to tell him that about 10 times during that conversation because he would lose memory. Right? And to this day, many which is weird. I still don't know what was exactly he was diagnosed with or what was going on with him, but that's just a memory that I have. Um, but I mean, geez, I mean, my mom did an amazing job. I mean, the whole typical, like, I don't know, like you want to call it a ESPN inspirational type of story. I mean, taught me how to catch a baseball, ride a bike. I
Wow.
mean, I share this story where she had to be tough. She had to be tough, and I grew up in a really rough neighborhood. It was a really tough neighborhood. She had to be tough, and it, there are just some stories where I would be like, let's say I'm scared of the dark, dark room. Said, go in there right now. You turn on the light, you're in trouble. Like it would be those kinds of things. She would make me go in there and just sit in the dark, and I'm just crying as a kid. But she knew that she had to kind of take that role as that male figure too, just toughen me up, I guess.
Challenging. Wow. Thanks for sharing. I mean,
Yeah, of course.
I have no doubt a lot of people, resonating with um, or finding that connection with what you're sharing with us. How did it shape you later on? Clearly, there was, I mean, both parts, right, that you shared. Uh, Probably a lot of challenging, way to figure out who am I, right? And then here we are today. So tell us a little bit about that transformation.
My favorite word, I mean, aside from love, I think love is a great word, but I think that's really the synonym to love is sacrifice. We've all had people sacrifice to some degree for us. I mean,
Mhm.
I even look at if I when I leave the house, or right now my son's on summer break, and I leave the house to go to the office, I'm sacrificing time with him to do something. I mean, there's always a lot, but I'm sacrificing to some degree to make sure that he has a better life and he has the right upbringing too. I think we all have that. The thing that I would say is I learned really what true sacrifice is. Here's the thing about and many too. I mean, you came to this country as an immigrant. This is the best country I mean, it's not even close in history of as far as opportunity is concerned. It's crazy that I am where and I don't think I'm anywhere close to where even I want to be or where I could be, but just to be even for a lot of us selling real estate, it's just super wild, super crazy that we're able to do that. But the way that I think it's all shaped me is just looking back. I just look at, okay, someone has sacrificed so much. Every single day I get out of bed, I'm not going to waste this day. Someone else had to give up something in order for me to gain something. And, and I actually do take that pretty seriously. It's not something that I just think about once in a while. I think about it pretty often, that it's, every day. And, you know, I'll even go back to, I mean, even these scars. I've shared it once with my market center. These are scars from a car accident when I was a teenager, where, I broke my neck essentially. So I mean, that could have been my last day on earth. And just even that perspective where I this world will still be moving without me. I mean, this world's still spinning without me. The people are still going about their day. If that were to have been my last day on earth, people are still living their lives and they're moving forward. And that thought to me just really kind of spooked me out, but it also like made me realize I don't want to waste any days. I really don't. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Well, it's answered a lot of other questions too, and it seems like whoever knows you or kind of picks up from what you're sharing right now, you're a very humble person as well, right? How do you maintain that humility?
You know, I heard a saying, behind every great man is a great woman that rolls her eyes at him. You know?
How many of those do you have?
I got a lot of those. I got a lot of those. So uh, if okay, just me purely, and I guess just the human nature side, humility is, I think, is the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing. Something that I would even disagree maybe with you at times, that I'm not that humble. I'm not that, because I feel like a lot of times I walk into a listing appointment, I'm like, I am the best agent you will ever hire. Don't even think about anybody else. And I actually really believe it. I'm not even just hyping myself up. I actually believe it. And I think that just comes from, I mean, my one of my favorite uh I guess idols growing up was Michael Jordan. Of just, I mean, he has shortcomings in other areas in his life, but he was just the, you know, least humble guy on the planet, at the time. But that got him to a lot of things that inspired me in a lot of ways. But I think if you really talk about humility, I think the best way to consider yourself, or to chase, or to seek after being humble and humility, is chasing after people, knowing that and I say this all the time too. I am not the best agent in the world. There's always going to be someone that's closed more than me. There's always someone that is doing more business than me. There's always someone that's good. I'm not the best blank in the world. There's always someone that's better. And I think as long as you realize that someone is out there is worth chasing, uh, that can keep you pretty grounded. That you're not on top.
Yeah, and I just want to emphasize, uh, there's a difference between self-confidence, right, and humility. And I think that like you mentioned, like MJ, right, extremely self-confident,
Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
powerful in the presence because you know exactly what he can deliver. Same thing with you, 100%. When it's showtime. Humility, it's in a sense of like you do have so much that you possess in a sense of skill set, um, personality, etc. And you won't walk in the room and make a lot of noise as people to pay attention to you.
Yeah,
And also you one of the female figures in your life, and we'd love to hear more about that. Is your maps coach,
yeah.
right? Um, so you always learn. That's humility. Like I don't know it all. Look, I always want to keep growing.
Well, here's the crazy, and I think you're spot on with that, many, because I think it's a matter of, yeah, you can have the confidence. You should have the confidence. We should have confidence through the roofs when it comes to this business, or you just get eaten up. But it's a matter of, okay, recognizing that there's room for you to grow, recognizing that there are people that you can learn from. There are a lot of people that are smarter than you, that are more skilled than you in certain areas, that you got to go after those people. Then it's like, okay, pick their brains, learn from them, chase after them. Like, what can I learn? And I mean, maps coaches was huge for me as well, as far as that goes.
Tell us more about your coach. Ramada is her name?
Krista. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know that you just met her, so she texted me. He's like, is Meny in Austin? I'm like, I think he is. And it's just like, oh, he's yeah, so am I. But so I've had a maps coach since I first came to KW 2021. I've had it since then. I would say she is probably been really the single influence of getting me into the systems, into the calorization of and really kicking my butt. It's funny because she was a former gymnast. I might send her this recording. I think she'll get a kick out of this. Former gymnast, so she's tiny. She's a small person.
Yeah.
Uh, from the Midwest, you know. Uh, I think to myself when I first met her, okay, what is this? I mean, I don't mean to be insensitive here. What is this white lady from the Midwest gonna be able to talk to this Asian guy from the city? Like, how is she gonna ever relate to me? But it's amazing that and that kind of shows you if she's a great coach. If you really know the coaching models, if you really understand what coaching is all about, I mean, she whoops me in the butt, kicks my butt, tells me like it is. She's not shy to do that. And I'm like, okay, Krista, this is how I want you to always be. Don't like. I want you to always tell me like it is. And the accountability is pretty strong. So I think it's important. I was lucky that I found the right fit pretty early on through that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And yeah, she's definitely have a big personality. Like you can feel her energy
Yeah,
right away.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it was great to meeting her. um, Tell us about your business practice, right? You run a team. Um, your wife is part of the team. You have a great group of people, and you guys are very consistent. Tell us a little bit more about your, kind of set schedule, practices, what you guys focusing on, etc.
Yeah, I'll tell. Can I share with you how it started? Then
Of course.
it started like a mess, and this was, like Jason Abrams likes to call it a glob. Just a group of agents together, all tied to one agent's credit card is basically how we started. And this was actually pre KW. I was at another brokerage, a couple of agents that, I knew even prior to real estate. I would say, no, four agents. They approached me. It's like, hey, can we just partner with you? Can you mentor? Can you mentor me? I'm going to get my license. So it started off that with all four of them. So there was no sense of recruiting really. It was, just like, hey, I just got my license. Can you help me? Can I work with you? Tell me more about this. We're like, all right, let's start this team. Is what then we gave ourselves a name and all the stuff, got a DBA and everything. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Let's start it. Come to KW, maybe just a few months after that. So it wasn't we weren't doing that, very long, thankfully, because we might not have survived it. But come to KW, I'm like, okay, now this makes a lot of sense. All the things that I was learning, it made a lot of sense to me. Made a lot of sense to me. I never thought, oh, you need an admin. Never thought about that. Never thought that you needed systems. Never thought about any of the back end stuff. We just looked at it as, and I think a lot of teams start off this way or still work this way, is I looked at it as more of there's just one agent that knows more than the other agents.
Mhm.
And those other agents go to that agent for questions and guidance, and that's it. Not even coaching. Just, hey, can you just ask me that question? Unfortunately, if you're still doing that model, I mean, ChatGPT's already replaced you. So people don't even need you anymore. But I found out about a maps class, or I guess like a 2-day boot camp in Austin where you just were in that same room with Monica Reynolds out of San Diego, called the Millionaire Real Estate Boot Camp. Oh, real estate operations boot camp, all on operations. It was 2 days. Mo Anderson was there. Lyndon McKissick was there. I mean, a lot of big names were there talking about operations. And so I went 2 days. It was not cheap. It was $1,000 just for the 2 days,
Mhm.
not including a hotel and flight and all that, food and everything, all out of pocket because I was like, okay, I just need to learn this. That changed everything for us. So we came back and I was like, I spent $1,000 on this. I'm gonna implement every single darn little drop of this into our team. Now we know there's some things, of course, you need to customize and do it your own way. I still tell people, I told a top agent around that last year, I was like, you got to go to this at another KW. She comes back, she texts me, she's like, this is the best thing I've ever done. So all this to say is this: there's nothing. spectacular either about it. It's all the kind of the stuff that you'll learn just kind of at any KW, but just really those 2 day that 2 day investment really got me to just okay, I'm gonna implement this. Once we started implementing it, and I think it took us at least a full year to really where I really felt like we've really dialed it in now. It took us about a full year, and so yeah, from that journey from there till now, still we're still learning things. We're still going back. We're still looking at okay, is this really giving us a good return? Is this really money well spent? Doing a lot of those things and making sure we do that, and we do a daily every morning meeting with my our admin team, which is my wife and also a VA that we have a full-time VA going through all that, and we always inspect what we expect.
Yeah, I love that. That's huge. Um, how do you go after business?
So yeah, I was a again, if I could start off with how it started, it was open houses every weekend, and my whole model was this. I just thought, okay, and someone told me this, like, hey, if you just did an open house every weekend, you'll make six figures. I'm like, okay, easy. If you just make it that clear for me, easy. And this was like, the mid what 2015, 2016, something like that. I was doing open houses every weekend, but leading up to the open houses. I think what a lot of agents might be missing now too is I door knocked every single day leading up to that open house. I door knocked that neighborhood, same door multiple times too, just doing all that. And I felt like I built up a pretty good database with that. So a lot of our business is coming from the database. I just closed on a deal. These are always special where I just closed on a deal where it's their home that second home, and I helped them buy their first one, and their daughter is now in high school, but she was in elementary school when I helped them buy that first home. But just to see the growth of that, I mean, that's always cool. So it's a lot of repeat, a lot of referrals, uh, and really, I mean, we go all in. I mean, we hire a marketing company to help us with that, but a lot of it is connecting with our database, staying in touch with them.
So so you mentioned database, and that was kind of my next question. How do you manage and how do you maintain that database? And also like define database so people will understand what your perception of it.
Yeah, I really think databases, everybody that you've come in contact with, that you have and you have their contact information should be in your database. Like really everybody. I think we get too worried about, oh, I don't know, like, if this person should be in my database, they would never do business with me. Just really getting that thought out and just everybody in your database. So one thing that we do through a marketing company called Curator that we do pretty consistently is, I'll post reels. I try to post a reel like once a week, but it's not an accidental reel. It's actually a script that I get. I film it, but that exact script on that reel is also in our blog, and that exact blog is also in an email blast to our database. So the strategy is okay, hit them with that. I'm always trying to follow them on social media and I hope they follow me too. So they see it on the reel. I point them to our blog. They go to our website. Maybe there's a little button there that says "What's my home worth?" or whatever it is, or contact Richard for more if you want to know more about why this season might be a good season of selling. So we're trying to hit them from multiple angles. The other thing that we really that we've tried to do the last couple of years are events,
Mhm.
like holiday, photos, family photos. Try to do like a little movie night, and Popeyes. So those are, sometimes it gets a little tough because it's a lot of, uh, like Popeyes take up a lot of time. They take up a lot of time. I think we've gotten to a pretty good strategy of making it efficient, but those things take up a lot of time. But I think the things that take up a little bit more time, a little bit more effort, do tend to give you a better return over the things that are just so automated. Like an email blast newsletter. I mean, that could be great, but it's very little effort. But man, if you're doing like a Popeye, if you're doing like a face-to-face holiday family photos and you're having a conversation with there, I think those tend to have much more return.
Give me one example for a pop by that was had an amazing responses.
Almost all of them. I mean, so let's say, for example, I mean, the most recent, like we'll do like a St. Patrick's Day Popeye with lottery tickets.
Hmm.
And then my text message after is, "Did you win anything?" You know?
Yeah.
So it's just such a good excuse just to have this conversation with people. And then, most of the time they'll say, "No, I didn't win anything. Oh, bummer. How are things going, by the way?" You're just trying to find every excuse you can to talk to people, you know?
Yeah. I mean, makes them feel that you're always thinking about them, clearly.
Exactly. And sometimes they're cheesy. It's gosh, I mean, Popeyes is basically you're handing out a bunch of gosh, now the word slips my mind. It's it's very cheesy a lot of ways, but I think people appreciate that too. But it's always falling. I mean, I'm not just throwing it at their door and driving off. I mean, but I also too I go either early in the morning or late at night because I've learned if you knock on the door, give it to them, have a conversation with them, it'll take you days to get to your Popeyes. It'll take you forever. So now, I mean, just for the sake of my strategy is we drop it off at their door. I I drive away, I take a picture of it, I send them a text. Sometimes I'll give them a call. Hey, I just want to let you know I just dropped off something, and then we start a conversation that way while I'm in the car because it just takes too long. That's how we did it in the beginning. It just took too long just to talk to everybody face to face with that. So we're trying to still be efficient with it.
Yeah. Um, um, Richard, I want to buy, but I think the rates are too high. I might, maybe want to wait for the market to crash or the rates to drop to 2%.
I'm glad you brought that up, Meny. I'm really glad you brought that up. Sounds like monthly payments are important to you. Budget is important to you. Tell me a little bit more why you even consider buying.
Well, two bedroom, one bath. Family is growing, and we want to have a bigger space.
Well, I'm really happy for you that your family's going. Congratulations on that. Are you expecting?
No.
No? Okay. That's okay too. Well, tell me a little bit about what would be in a perfect world, and I'm fast forwarding this. In a perfect world, what would that look like?
Three bedrooms, two bathrooms, a spacious backyard. I don't have to have a pool.
Okay. And look, Mehdi, I'm kind of like you. I don't want to spend more money on something that I don't need to. Yeah, if it's like, so why would I buy this for this when I could get it on sale a couple weeks later at this price? I'm just like you on that. However, if we could figure out a way that it all makes sense for you now, it all makes sense for you now. Monthly payments, I know they're important to you. It all works out. You get into that three-bedroom, two bath, just like you wanted. Is there anything that would stop you from at least just considering or taking a look at some homes?
You see, I'm gonna pause for a second, but I love the fact that you're touching the monthly payments, the right timing. If I can find something that's gonna work for you right now, etc. Like
Yeah.
you're not discouraging me, right? You encouraging me to fulfill my dream basically, but you also trying to figure out to anchor what could be the best way to do it.
But I'm also trying to be sensitive to you. And she's like, I understand. Of course, who likes spending more money when you know an item's going to be on sale in 2 weeks? You would just wait the 2 weeks. I totally get that. That's human nature. Nobody's crazy enough to pay full price when you know that you don't have to. So it's understanding that I've always felt like we get too quick to try to argue. Can I tell you about the cost of waiting? Can I tell you about this? Those are all valid, by the way. Those can all be valid, but it's all about the timing of that.
Exactly. Yeah. You're kind of feeling the conversation and where the person comes from, and then that's how you pretty
Right.
much lead them to, yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. And if just on a side note, I mean, if any of you never got a chance to attend Richard's the closer, right? That was I think this year it was the second one that you
Yeah.
did, and we'll do a bigger one next year.
Oh, it's gonna be big.
It's like a script off, right?
Yeah.
Battle basically, and people from all of our offices just showed up, and that was a fun event. Yeah,
It was. It was. It was really fun.
yeah. Um, eh, some big things. I mean, you work on some big things, right?
Always working on big things, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Working on big things. We're always looking at, my son's getting a little bit older. He's going into high school. I know some of you guys have much older kids and everything, but he's going into high school now. things are slowing down as far as like no more little league games and all that sort of stuff. But we're always like thinking, okay, well, what's 5 years ahead? What's 5 years ahead gonna look like? 5 years ahead, he's gonna likely be in college or out of the house or whatever it is, or I don't know, real estate agent, who knows. But he won't be under our, I guess, guardianship anymore legally in 5 years. So we're always thinking ahead. We're always thinking, oh, what can we do next?
Yeah, yeah. And business wise, you always same thing. Like you always working to expand yourself as a person, as a leader, um, as a team, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Any
Yeah.
big announcement coming soon, I guess. You working some big stuff?
No, we are working on some big stuff. Working on some big things. Just so everybody knows, my wife's not pregnant, so it's nothing like
Okay.
that. But we got some things coming up. I mean, I think people will probably find out about some big things coming up soon. More than likely, probably through social media, because that's how we, find out about things now. But stay tuned, Manny. I think we got some exciting things that are happening in our world. One thing, I mean, I'm grateful to KW, by the way. I mean, if anybody on this call is ever even hesitates about if another place is better, talk to me because I've been to other places. I've been to all those models before. KW not only changed our business, but changed our lives. It really has.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Same different story, same journey, same path in that sense. So, uh, Richard Chung, can't thank you enough. Always fun to chat. And looking forward to your growth, man, and your participation, your contribution, your leadership, and everything that you do for everybody. So, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Manny. Thank you for all of this, all putting this all together. Thank you.
Absolutely. Good job. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Richard.
Thanks
Thanks,
for
Manny.
listening.
Thank you, Richard.